And we're back. I am now having gotten all these components off the engine, which included all the parts that we have over here. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. The compressor, the starter, and the alternator. Got some stuff over here. I'll just move real quick. I'm going to use this purple power, to clean up all these components. I'm also going to use some, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to it. But these parts here, like the valve cover, we're going to replace. We're going to clean this up with some Easy Off. Just spray that down with Easy Off. It'll clean off all the oil. We've done that before. It's worked real good. But the rest of the parts we will clean down, wash down with the purple power. So let's get started on what we're going to work on today. We're going to take off the oil filter assembly right here. This is where the oil filter screws on. We're also going to pull this crank pulley. I'm going to pull that off using this handy dandy puller. And I'm going to take off this pulley here and this piece here, because we're going to remove the entire front end, the entire front cover. That will mark the place where we will begin to actually move parts over to the other engine, which is back over here. This other engine, as you can see here, when you get a brand new one or a rebuilt one, your engine comes with essentially nothing on it. Well, nothing extra. But when they rebuild the engine, they take care of the heads, the timing chains, the front seal there, and a number of other things that require precision tools and precision instruments. Let me grab this piece down here, put it back on, so that you don't end up having to take care of, or you don't need any special tools for this. And that's one of the things that makes this work possible. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to take this oil filter assembly off. Then we'll go to the crank pulley. Then we'll start to work with the engine front cover. All right, that looks like the engine pulley here. Looks like it is, it's got 13 or 15 millimeter. Let's see, this is a 15, I believe. We'll just grab the 13 and the 15. Wow. I rather like these nice universal tools here, so I'm going to put this 10 back. 11, 12, 13. And the 13 and the 15. That must be a 13. So I'll take those and whip them off. Let me get you some light here. All right. So we will take out these. Well, let me point the camera at you. So we will take out these 3 bolts here, and 4 bolts, and that should do it to get this oil filter assembly off. All right. You'll notice here I try to loosen these up. I try to loosen these up rather than take them off all at once. For these, I just don't want to spin them off all at once too fast and lose control. So we'll just screw these up, unscrew these. See what we've got here. It looks like there's a little plastic piece on that bolt, and on this one as well. Look at that. That must be since there's oil there. I didn't see it in the service manual, but this little, it looks like a washer or something that is designed for this bolt. Must be to ensure no leakage through the bolts, through the threads. All right, so let's see here. Oh, that's a longer bolt, so I'm going to put that one right back in the same spot. All right, this one is giving me a little bit of problem. There is a gasket right behind this. All of these gaskets that we find, excuse me, under the parts that we remove, we throw all those gaskets away. We don't reuse any of them. Now, if we were removing the heads, then you would also throw away the bolts. But because we're not doing that, we're not doing anything like that, we can keep the bolts. All right, so we've got these 3 that can go right back in. These 3 bolts are the same size, and then that top one is longer. Let me show it to you. So these 3 bolts are this size, and then we've got one longer one, and that goes in the top. So I'll put that one back there, and I can also show you why that bolt is longer. It's because on this oil filter assembly, you see there are 3 bolts. You see where the 3 bolts go, and there's only this much space between the front of the assembly and the back. But then on this one, you've got a longer spread here, so that's why this bolt is longer. And it's good that it's designed this way, because obviously you need to put the bolts in the right spot, and it's set up this way. So since it's set up this way, you don't have to worry about putting the bolts in the wrong way. So let's take this and put it over with the rest of our parts. And now let's go ahead and take a look at this crank pulley. This crank pulley looks like it is well, I looked it up in the book. It's a 21. So let me grab it. Let me grab a 21, whip this off, and then we're going to use this puller to get this booger off of here. Let's see, where is well, there's a 19. Well, what do we have here? This is also a 19, so I guess we're going to have to go to our larger set of tools here. All right, look in here and see what we got. $15. Let's see here. 18. 21. Let's see how that fits. Well, it looks like that is not a 21. Let me see if that's a 19. And it's a 19. Awesome. Well, I guess I do want some sort of extender on this. Let's plug that in and plug in our 19. I kind of doubt that this is going to be powerful enough to remove this bolt. They are usually quite a bit tighter than this little thing could handle, but let's give it a try. Yeah, no way at all. No way that's pulling that off. So, we get to call in the big guns. This is our 1/2 inch Milwaukee fuel impact wrench, which will remove anything. So let's see what we got here. Look at that. Snatched it right off of there. All right, so we will take this massive bolt out of here, set her down, and get ready to pull this pulley off of here. Now, I just picked this up from AutoZone. The GM service manual has a special number and name for this thing. I just assume that they have their own special set of tools. And so with this puller, you just set it in the center here. If you're watching, listening, we're going to go ahead and use the bolt that is used on this. In fact, I'm going to screw this in a little more. I'm going to screw this in actually a lot more. to get as many of these threads engaged as possible. All right, so we got ourselves a grip here right in the center, and what do you want to bet it's going to pull it right off? Yep, pulling it right off evenly. Yep, pulling it off evenly. So if you're going to do this and use this tool from AutoZone, you want to go on the inside. You want to clamp it. You want to clamp your puller on the inside rather than on the outside, because you can see here that I broke the edges of the pulley, and this pulley is bent. So it wouldn't bend from the inside, but it does bend from the outside. So we're going to have to get another one of those. And we're going to continue working on this to get the front cover off. And this was, in my opinion, the most precarious part of this whole engine. Moving the parts from one engine to the other. I've seen these kinds of problems on every car we've worked on. There we go. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's not pulling out. Let's see, my other tool. There's a big piece of metal that I used here just a second ago. All right, let's grab that other piece of metal that I just had. And use this piece. It's just a random piece of metal that I had lying around. I want to use that as a stop for the puller. All right, so let's get this lined up, clamped on there, roll this inside some more, screw this in a little more. Oh, we need to move that up a bit. All right. All right, so we got again, something that we're using just for now. That's just pulling it off. And it just long enough. It was just long enough to get that pulley off. Yep, damaged pulley, and I could eyeball it and see that it's a little bit bent. So we're just going to have to replace this. Hopefully they are not too expensive, because I certainly don't want to put this on a brand new engine. All right, now that we've got the crank pulley off, let's go ahead and take this pulley off here. And then we're going to take off this tensioner assembly. Wait, you gotta get you right. Then we're going to take off this tensioner assembly. So let's whip this off with our tins. All right. I believe we can whip this off in the time that we have for this segment. And I am going to use power to pull that off, because this pulley is spinning around, so an impact wrench set on low will make this nice and easy. The nice thing about an impact wrench is it's sort of a low pressure way to remove screws. Like if you've got a screw or a bolt on some assembly that is spinning when you try to turn your ratchet, then using a lightweight impact wrench on it can help you out. Okay, and this is the pulley that goes to the water pump. So there's your water pump back here, and I believe we can leave the water pump on and remove, but we do need to remove these bolts. We need to remove these bolts here, which we can't get to with the pulley on. You can see this bolt here. You could probably get to that one, but to get this bolt off, you have to take this pulley off. So I'm going to put these 3 screws back into the water pump for safekeeping. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and take off this cover here all over the crankshaft. This cover needs to be removed before the entire front front cover can be removed. And we're back. We're going to go ahead now that we have taken our crank off, and we're going to take this cover that is over the front cover. We're going to remove that first. And like I said, we're going to try and leave the water pump I'm going to try to leave the water pump in place, and maybe we'll be able to not have to remove all of this and replace the gasket. All right, so let's see. These are 13s. It looks like. Yes. There are something like 22 or so bolts in here. But first I'm going to remove this cover because the service manual says to remove it first. All right. So find my short extender. All right, I'm going to try this on our lowest power on 1. Doesn't work, we're going to switch to 2 and then to 3. All right, let's try 2. All right. Switch this to 3. I'm going to check the power on this. This has not been charged since we started filming. And you can see this has still got a full charge. I know I'm really harping on this tool, but I tell you, I bought a lot of tools. And this is really the best one I have ever owned. All right. Nope, that's not part of the cover. This is. The charge will last for, I don't know, I've gone months without charging this thing. Now, I didn't use it every day because I'm not a pro. Just a guy in his garage, but I've never run across a power tool that could hold a charge so well. All the batteries are interchangeable with the different tools. All right, so we got these 4 out here. Let's see if that's all we need. Okay, we got 5. All right. Now we got a little bit of an issue here because we normally put the bolts back into the screw them back in, but since we got to take the case cover off, we're not going to leave these bolts in. And what do we have here? Now that doesn't look like. Yeah, let me turn this over and show it to you. Take these bolts out. I see something kind of interesting here. That was not in the instructions and not in the picture. This looks like some sort of covering or yeah, this is this doesn't look like like it should be part of this. like it should be part of this piece, but as you can see, there's something here that looks like it's either caked on or it's I don't know, or maybe it's a covering of some sort. Whatever it is, it's flaking apart pretty easily. So this is, yeah, likely a gasket. So we'll go back to the service manual and check and see if there's a gasket that we need. But as you can see here, if it is a gasket, this thing has disintegrated. And this engine's only got 160,000 miles on it. So we'll check in the service manual and certainly talk about it before we reinstall this. But it is something that we want to have a heads up about. For this, since it's got these bolts, these 5 bolts, I want to keep it in a separate spot. All right. So whatever this material is, whatever this is, whether it's material or dirt, I'm going to want to remove that. Yeah, this must be, I mean, just looking at the composition of it, it must be some sort of gasket. All right, let's continue. Removing the rest of the bolts. There's bolts all the way around, going all the way around here. Now there's this this pulley piece here, this tensioner that on the other engine, this is attached directly to the engine on one side. So let me show you the difference here. Because this engine does have some slight redesigns from the original. One of the redesigns that they did was to allow for they drilled a hole in here someplace to allow more even wear on the individual headers. So one header would wear more quickly than the other. And so it looks like one of the other design changes is this pulley here, which is very interesting because this pulley now is not integrated with the cover like the other one is. So it means that we will likely have to account for that when we put the engine back together. All right, so back to the engine. Let's start to take out all right, let's get some more. This little, okay, so we got this bolt here that was mostly taken out, and we'll leave that there. This is part of the covering. So let's take this one. I'm going to leave these for last. I'm going to leave these 2 for last on this pulley assembly here, as that is that's concerning me a little bit. If you can see by the design here, you can see that the pulley moves back and forth. Now I can't likely move this with my hand because it's designed. Yeah, I can't pull. move it with my hand, but you can see here. You can see here that there's spacing here so that this pulley can move this direction. You loosen it and tighten it when you put the main belt onto the engine, which we will show you when it's time to do that. So again, it makes it pretty interesting how they've redesigned this. It looks like they've redesigned this pulley system here. I actually wonder why they did that. We've got the same size bolts going all the way around, except for this big one right here, which we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. So anyway, let's get started pulling this case off, this cover off. Let's see here. We've got that one and that one. Okay, here's one. Yes. And another. Let's go ahead and pull these the rest of the way out. I'm going to turn this down to 2, just to, as I like to keep it. I like to keep this drill on as low a setting as I have to. Mostly so that because it is a power tool, I want to make sure that we don't damage anything. All right. Now, since this doesn't seem to be coming right off right away, there we go. Here's another. Well, that is an interesting bolt right there. It's got a washer on it, just like the oil assembly, and these bolts don't have that. So, since it is near the oil assembly, I'm going to assume that that's got to stay in the same spot. All right, so let's go ahead and continue loosening these up. Now in the service manual, it just says remove these bolts and then remove the covering. So it doesn't say that you need to, after you remove the bolts, that you need to do anything special. So, well, I see we've got a bolt here. All right, I see we've got a bolt right here, which is not going to come out unless we remove this piece here, which, let's see. Okay, we can remove that bolt there, and I think this piece will come loose. Got bolt and this bolt. All right, this is part of the cooling system, so that is why those washers are there. Let's see what we've got here. I'll pull these out completely. Yes, I did. I need my handy dandy pry bar. Okay. There it is. All right, it's coming out now. Okay. There is a gasket here, so we are going to have to remove that. And there, since there is a gasket here, that gasket is going to be in the kit. By the way, the engine kit does come with all the gaskets that you need. There's a whole box of them here. You take a look in there, you can see we've got all the gaskets you could possibly need here. All right, let's go back to this and pull out that last bolt. Oh, we've got another one here. Okay. Must need these to come out. Yes. Which means that this pulley is going to come off. So we're going to remove this pulley and put it over in our stack because we need to revisit this. Oh. This, I didn't mean pulley, it's a tensioner. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave that there and put these back. See if that was our last. That was the last of our bolts. Oh, we've got this very large bolt right here, which I'm going to remove because it looks like it is holding this guy on. There aren't any others. That is part of the engine. This is not part of the cover, so we're going to remove this 16 here. Actually, that may be a 17. It's bigger than a 17, so it must be a 19. have rarely seen an even numbered bolt size on these on this particular GM car. Oh, except that that must be an even numbered one because that 19 is too big. There's an 18. Perfectly sized. All right. Yeah, I'm sure with this great big one, it's going to need to be on 3. I'm going to leave that bolt turned in there. Just to keep this thing from falling off. Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to have to pry this off because I can see by looking at this seam here that this cover is glued on. So we're going to use a pry bar to break this cover loose from the front of the engine. All right. Okay. Okay, and I way over here in the corner, I missed one. So let's grab my tool here. Okay. See if that pulls off without the pry bar. It does not. Okay, so the engine has water in it. So I'm gonna put something under here to catch the water as it comes out. It's rolling out. So you'll note that when you pull this engine cover off, you're gonna since the water pump is right here, you're gonna have to deal with the water that comes out of the front of your engine, or comes out of the inside of your engine. All right, so let's go around here and pry. A spot that we can lean against here to pry it loose. All right. All of our bolts are loose. We just need some way to leverage against our, oh, here's a spot right here. There's a little spot right back here where we can leverage against. I'm going to go ahead and remove this pulley, this tensioner, and see if that is what is holding this piece on. Because the bolt that goes in that tensioner is pretty long. All right, let's gently pry it again. And keep prying very gently. All of these bolts are very loose to where they're sliding out. So there must just be it's not a bolt that's holding this in. Not that I imagine there is. No, I don't think it's a bolt holding it in. So we will just continue to pry gently wherever we can get a hold. Wherever we can get a hold of it until as I can tell you, looking closely, you might not be able to see with the, might not be able to see this, but there is a lot of glue, a lot of caulking gasket on this guy, and it's pretty nice. There are pry spots on this on the side of this thing. Let me see where it is on this side. Here's one right here. Nope, there's one right there. There we go. There we go. It's finally coming loose. Sliding along these bolts. All right, let's see how close we are to being able to lift this cover off of here, or slide this cover off. Okay. This bolt wasn't all the way out, so. And well, there are one, two, three, four. I don't know what these are. I'd have to look in the manual to find out, but we go. And all at once, the whole thing comes out, and we've got these sensors sticking out of the front of the case. Out of the front of the cover. Now I'm going to lay this down here so we can take a good look at it. Okay, that's our engine cover. So that our engine here now looks like a used version of our engine over here, behind the plastic. So I'll cover that back up. I keep this thing covered so it will, so it doesn't get dirty. I want it to be as clean as possible when we're ready to, we're ready to reassemble. I'm going to flip this over and put these bolts back in. Nope, that's not where it goes. Not where it goes. It goes right there. It goes there. This one goes here. Oh, it is? Okay. All right. So I'm putting these bolts back in the cover. All right, so, and we've got this tensioner that goes here. Let me make a spot on our here, let's move this to the side. And then put those bolts back in, along with the tensioner. So everything's in the same spot. All right, so we've got this one. All right. And that, folks, is the engine front cover, having been removed. Now, this here is where the water pump goes. The way your engine is designed, down in here where I'm pointing, down in there is under there is the oil pan. Your engine runs and oil is pumped up all the way around and through and around these chains, and it's all over inside. Every place that you see that's kind of beige colored Because on the other engine over there, you could see that that it is silver colored. There's no discoloration from oil. It's basically this color all the way around this, like it is around the edge here. In this area, you see water pumps through here, and here, and through there, and through here. So water is pumping through this area, and that's what keeps the front end of the engine cool. There's a very strong seal that sits right here, so that the water doesn't mix with the oil. If you ever saw a car that had white smoke coming out of the tailpipe, then that's because the seal is probably broken and water is running down into the engine. If you ever saw a car that has blue smoke coming out, that means one of the seals in here is broken, most likely the front seal here that goes to your crankshaft. So there you have it. That's what the front and the inside of the engine looks like. Next time when we get together, we're going to start taking off the sensors on different parts of the engine and get ready to unbolt this engine, take it off of this frame, and set it to the side so that we can put all of our pieces onto this engine and get it ready to go on this frame. So that's it for right now. We'll see you a little later.